I want you to drown out all the social media noise. I want you to ignore all the trends because these are the 4 things that are tried and true time and time again. These are the foundation. This is what you need in order to get the most bang for your buck instead of just chasing random shiny pennies. Hello, friends, and welcome back to the Sweat Simple podcast. My name is Brooks Herbis, and I'm an online fitness, nutrition, and mindset coach who's here to help you simplify and make sense out of the all too confusing fitness and nutrition industry. Let's be real, there's a lot of conflicting information online, and it can be hard to know what's legit and who to trust. In every episode, I'll be sharing the science and psychology behind health, fitness, and long-lasting behavior change. But I'll also be sharing real-life practical application because all of the best info in the world only matters if you can actually apply it to your real life. So grab a coffee, water, glass of wine, or lace up your walking shoes, and let's dive in. Hello, you guys. Welcome back to the Sweat Simple podcast. I am recording this way later in the day than I typically do, but the day kind of got away from me. I had a lot of other things, a lot of other work stuff pop up that I needed to do, and I thought about pushing this off. Like you've probably thought about pushing off your workout or your meal prep or whatever it is. And I was like, no, you know what? You told yourself you were going to show up and you were going to record these podcasts today. And I really don't have any other time to do it. So even though it's later, even though this is not my ideal circumstances, I am showing up and I'm doing it anyways. So I hope that acts as some motivation for you. If you have been feeling like you want to skip workouts, or you haven't felt like doing your meal prep, or you're kind of waiting for these ideal perfect situations. This is life. Those are probably never going to come. So just like I am here a little bit later than I typically am, I hope you can show up for yourself too. So today we are talking all about the 4 health habits that I would focus on if I wanted to feel amazing this year. And for a lot of people that I work with, a lot of you guys listening to this podcast, typically the goal is fat loss. You want to lose weight, you want to feel better in your body, you want to look good, whatever it is. But the thing that's really laying underneath that, if you dug one step deeper, I bet, is to just feel good. Like you want to wake up every morning and feel good in your body, and not just from an aesthetic, confidence standpoint, but you want to have more energy. You want to not be in pain. You want to have less brain fog. You just want to feel like you could run through a brick wall every morning. So if those are your goals, if that is how you want to feel, you want to jump out of bed feeling enthusiastic every morning, these are going to be the 4 things that I would focus on. And I'll be honest, there are always ways to be optimizing your health. There are always ways to be doing more. We could always make an argument for, changing this or adding this or doing this differently. There are always going to be those things, new research, whatever it might be. But these are the 4 that I personally think you're going to get the most bang for your buck and notice the most immediate payoff from. So especially if you are just getting started or you are really looking to see some immediate impact, this is what I would focus on. I want you to drown out all the social media noise. I want you to ignore all the trends, all the cold plunges, all the castor oil pulling. I want you to ignore all of that BS because these are the 4 things that are tried and true time and time again. These are the foundation. This is what you need in order to get the most bang for your buck instead of just chasing random shiny pennies. So the first thing is going to be to prioritize protein and fiber. Eat more protein, eat more fiber. Why are these the things to focus on? So first up, protein is the building block of everything in your body. It helps you build muscle. It helps with hair, skin, and nail health. It's the most satiating macronutrient. So it's going to keep you full and satisfied, which is going to make fat loss feel easier. Protein is like the powerhouse of your body. If you're trying to build muscle, if you want to feel more satiated, if you want to have good hair, skin, and nail health, eat more protein. Fiber, on the other hand, helps with digestion. It can also help you feel more full, but fiber also reduces your risk of a lot of chronic diseases. So things like heart disease, diabetes, certain types of cancer. So that can be a huge benefit of fiber. And the reason that I call out protein and fiber is because when you're eating adequate protein and you're eating enough fiber, you're naturally going to be reducing the amount of less nutrient dense food that you're eating. So if you are hitting a protein target and you're hitting your fiber target, it becomes really hard to fill your calories with ice cream and the random snacks and all those things that don't leave you feeling good, don't keep you super full and satisfied, aren't providing you with the most nutrients, which is why I always say focus on these two things first. If you're hitting these targets, it becomes really, really hard to fill your calories with those less nutrient dense foods. So when you're prioritizing protein and fiber, you're naturally going to gravitate towards more nutrient dense foods. It's going to give you a much better mix of macro and micronutrients, which is just going to make you feel better long term. So focusing on those two things as opposed to like trying to ditch a bunch of things or trying to like hit every single macro target is going to give you a really big bang for your buck. So where should you be falling for both of these things? For fiber, women really want to aim for 20 to 25 grams of fiber a day. If you are not there yet, if you're, in your calorie tracker or whatever it is, and you're like, I'm hitting 8 grams right now, don't freak out. Most Americans greatly undereat the amount of fiber that they need. American diets are not set up for high fiber diets. Mediterranean diets, super high in fiber. American diets, not high in fiber. So it's just something to be mindful of, and it's something to increase your intake of as time goes on. Now, there are two types of fiber. You want to make sure that you're getting a good mix of both. Otherwise, you're going to swing too far in one direction or the other. So soluble fiber, this is the type of fiber that slows down digestion. It aids in nutrient absorption, and you're going to get that through things like oats and fruit, the fruit like apples, and then a lot of vegetables. And then insoluble fiber, on the flip side, this promotes regular bowel movements, and it helps prevent constipation. So I'm sure you can see why you need both as opposed to just having one or just having the other. So as you're looking to increase your fiber intake, make sure that you're really trying to get both kinds in. Good sources of insoluble fiber would be things like whole grains. We've got nuts, seeds, beans, vegetables. So all of those would be really good options. Now for protein, if you want to know how much protein you need, this is going to be more individual depending on your weight, your goals, all that good stuff. So if you head to the show notes, the show description, I'll link my How to Lose Fat for Good guide, which includes a protein calculator so that you can get the number that's going to be right for you. Examples of protein in general, these we're typically more familiar with than fiber, but chicken, Greek yogurt, eggs, salmon, lean ground beef, all that stuff would be good sources of protein. There's also sneaky sources too, like mozzarella cheese sticks, Baby Bell cheese, edamame. Edamame is actually kind of a protein and fiber, so you're getting both there. So lots of options to increase your protein, increase your fiber. The second thing I want you to focus on is movement. And this is really the one that everyone is always trying to quote unquote optimize. And what looks right for this pillar is really going to depend on what you're already doing. So instead of trying to be like the most optimal and always like maximizing, what I want you to do is I'm going to lay out a pyramid for it and how I would prioritize these things first. If you are crushing it, if you have a lot of time to dedicate to exercise, if you have been working out for a while, then I would love to see you do all of these things. But on the flip side, if you're new, or like you don't have a ton of time, or you're just wanting to start getting some movement in, then I would start at the bottom of this pyramid. And once you master that, work your way up. So first up, this is the bottom. This is what I want you to start with. This would be a daily step goal. So look at your, if you have an iPhone, look at like your health app or look at your fitness tracker. What were your daily average steps per day last week? I want you to try to increase that by 1,000. So whatever that currently was, just up it by 1,000, and that's your new daily step target. And I want you to try to hit that every single day. 80% of the time. Once you're hitting that and you feel really good about that, or maybe you're already walking a ton, then I want you to think about strength training 3 to 4 days a week. Ideally, you are following a program. I don't even want to get into like optimal strength training right now. I have a ton of other podcasts about that. This is not about what is the most optimal. This is about how to get started. So strength train 3 to 4 days a week. So if you're hitting steps, you're strength training 3 to 4 days a week, then I would add in 1 to 3 30 to 60 minute zone 2 cardio sessions a week. And zone 2 is a heart rate zone. The best way to determine this outside of calculating your own would be to use the talk test. At zone 2, if you were to call someone on the phone while you were doing this cardio, they would be able to tell you were working out. You'd be breathing a little bit heavier, taking some pauses, but at the same time, you could carry on the conversation with them pretty easily without having to take these long pauses like every other word. So that's where your zone 2 would fall. You want 1 to 3 of those, and your session should be 30 to 60 minutes a week. Lastly, if you're doing all of those things already, I want you to add in mobility training. For me and how I program it with my clients, this happens in their warm-up before their workouts, as well as within their workouts. I incorporate it. You need to figure out what's going to work best for you. But that is those 4 things. Those are going to be like your bulletproof movement. So daily step target, strength training 3 to 4 days a week, those zone 2 cardio sessions, and some sort of mobility training. If you are doing all 4 of those things, you are freaking killing it. You are going to feel so good, and you're going to build muscle, and your cardiovascular health is going to be through the roof. So like I said, start at the bottom of the pyramid and then work your way up, but eventually would love to see you all get to a point where you're doing all 4 of those things. Next up, number 3, we have sleep. And this is really the one that everyone forgets about, or you like casually mention it, but you don't actually pay attention to it. Like you're like, yeah, I know I need 8 hours of sleep, but then you stay up like way too late watching Netflix and you kind of just like forget that this is even something you need. So, but this is like one of the ones that is going to really give you the most bang for your buck, because this is going to make everything else so much easier. Sleep is the foundation of everything that we do. It is crucial for recovery, so it's going to make your workouts better. It is crucial for hormone health, which is, I don't know if you know, but we have hunger hormones, so it's going to allow you to feel more full and satisfied, so it's going to make fat loss feel easier. It, of course, is going to give you more energy, but sleep is also key for things like memory, memory creation, and it also lowers your risk of chronic health conditions. So sleep is so important. I do not want you guys to undervalue this. Again, ideally, are we all getting 7 to 9 hours of sleep a night, 8+ hours a night? Yes. Ideally, I would love that for all of us. I also know that's not always realistic, especially if, maybe you have young kids or you work nights or whatever it is. We can't always get that perfect optimal amount of sleep, but I'm going to challenge you. Can you get even 20 minutes than you're already getting? That would be huge. That would have a huge impact. So for all of these habits, it is not about being perfect with them. This podcast is not about building your most optimal health pyramid ever. We're not trying to do that. We are trying to do a little bit more than we're already doing. We're trying to feel a little bit better. And that means not necessarily getting 7 to 9 hours of sleep, but getting 20 minutes more than we're already getting. Now, the last habit I want to focus on is drinking less alcohol. And not to be a party pooper, but it's true. Alcohol impacts your sleep quality first and foremost. And we just talked about how sleep was the foundation of everything. So if we're trying to make everything else feel easier, we want to get better sleep, which means we probably want to be drinking less. And on the flip side of that, drinking more makes all of the above more difficult. You are not going to be craving your nutrient dense foods when you're drinking a lot. I'm sure you've noticed that. I don't know anyone who drunk eats like, 3 ounces of chicken breast. Typically it looks more like pizza. And then, 2, you're not going to have as much energy for your movement. You're also not going to recover as well. So you're not going to be able to lift as heavy in your strength training sessions. And then we already talked about how alcohol impacts sleep. So all of the above is going to feel harder the more that you're drinking. And on top of that, alcohol also leads to more brain fog, and it just leaves you feeling pretty blah. I think, if you've ever done any sort of stretch without alcohol, you've probably noticed that you feel a lot better, you have more energy, you have less brain fog. I really am just a big proponent that the less you drink, the better you'll feel. And if you haven't ever tried it out, I would, go a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Can you even do a sober month without alcohol, and just see if you notice a difference in how you're feeling overall, and let that kind of inform whether you choose to drink more or less in the future. So if you want to start really prioritizing your health this year, you want to focus on the habits that are going to move the needle the most without needing like a ton of big schedule changes, these are the 4 things that I would focus on: eating adequate protein and fiber, getting enough movement in, prioritizing more sleep, and limiting alcohol. So those are going to give you guys a really good starting point, a really good jumping off point for starting to build some really strong habits this year. And that's really all I've got for you guys. But thank you so much as always for listening. And don't forget, I choose one person every single month to win a free fitness and nutrition audit with me. That not only gives you a personalized nutrition plan, a personalized workout plan, it also gives you 4 weeks of email access to me for support as you implement that plan. So really amazing opportunity to get some hands-on support from me. All you have to do is leave a review or share this in your Instagram stories and tag me, and you're entered to win for the month. So that's all I've got for you guys. Don't forget, if you want that protein target, grab it in the show notes. Otherwise, I will talk to you guys all next week.